Once upon a time, in a village in the heart of a great kingdom, there lived a very wise king named Kelechi. He was a young but very wise king who was loved by his people. Now the king had a cousin named Okonjo, who was also his age. But unlike the king, Okonjo had nothing but envy in his heart. He felt that he should be the king instead of his cousin, and so he began to plot evil against him. One day Okonjo went to see the king. "Oh, cousin," he said, feigning concern, "why do you love the villagers so much? They don't deserve it. You should be more like me." The king frowned. "What do you mean?" "Well, I don't waste my time on silly things like caring for the people. I spend my days hunting and having fun. You should do that instead of bothering yourself with ruling." The king just shook his head at his cousin's words. A few days later, the king went out to the marketplace. People were selling their wares, and the king bought some of them. To show how generous he was, he told the people he would host a feast that night in the royal palace and invited all of them to come. Of course, his cousin Okonjo was invited too. As soon as the king left, Okonjo went straight to the royal stores and took the king's finest clothes, putting them on himself. He then went to the king's throne and sat on it, pretending to be the king. All of the villagers who saw him became furious and complained to the king's guards. But they all got the same answer. The king invited everyone to the palace tonight. No one can enter without an invitation, so no one could stop Okonjo from using the king's things or sitting on his throne. Only one person dared to stop him. It was the king's wife who told Okonjo that if he didn't leave the throne, she would pour a bucket of the king's favorite stinky cheese dung right on him. When she was about to carry out her threat, the king arrived and was furious when he saw what his cousin had done. But before he could say anything, Okonjo stood up and lied to him, saying, "I was only trying to show you how uncomfortable your clothes are. Come sit here so I can make you more comfortable." But the king wasn't fooled. He knew his cousin wanted to take his throne, and so the king banished Okonjo from the kingdom. As Okonjo walked away fuming, he kept thinking of ways to get back at his cousin. Then he had an idea. The next day, Okonjo went to the king and apologized to him, saying he regretted trying to take his throne. "Oh, cousin," he said, "you know I love you. In fact, I love you so much that I am willing to go to the Forbidden Forest for you. There is a powerful charm there that can make you invincible." The king's eyes widened in surprise. "You would do that for me?" "Yes, but please promise to make me chief advisor when you are invincible." The king hesitated, but eventually agreed. When they reached the forest, the trees began to shake violently. From the darkness, 2 glowing eyes came out. Then another and another, until dozens of them were staring at them. Suddenly, many more eyes appeared, and they all started to glow brightly. Out of the bush came scary-looking creatures, each with glowing eyes. Some looked like humans from the waist up, and from the waist down, they were animals. Others looked like animals from the front and humans from behind. All of them seemed to be part human and part animal. Their bodies were painted with tribal patterns and ornaments, and they seemed very powerful, scary, and mysterious. They surrounded the king and Okonjo. Then one of them stepped forward and said, "Who is the bravest of the 2? The king was scared, but he knew that if he ran away, the other might get hurt. So he stepped forward. "I am," he said. The spirit nodded. "Very well. If you are the bravest of the two, you will pass this test. But if you fail, I am afraid you will die." The spirit placed a stone in front of the king. "Take this stone and walk on it across the river. If you fall, the water will kill you." The king hesitated, but decided to try. As he walked on the stone, it began to crack. But before it broke, the spirit waved his hand, and the stone was fixed. The king continued on until he reached the other side. The spirits looked at Okonjo. "Now it is your turn, cousin," the spirit said. But before Okonjo could say a word, the spirit placed the stone in front of him and waved his hand, making it disappear. Then the spirit shouted, "Now run." Startled, Okonjo turned and started to run, tripping over tree roots and bushes. But the spirits just watched him, laughing. After a while, they stopped laughing, and one of them asked, "Is this man the bravest of the two?" The king said, "No, that was me." The spirit nodded. "Very well. Since the brave may pass, but the coward shall be punished. You shall become stone for trying to harm the brave one." And as he spoke, the stone appeared again in front of Okonjo, but this time it was too late. He couldn't move it. It was too heavy. And when he tried to run, the spirit waved his magic hand and trapped him in stone. The spirit then turned to the king. "You have shown great bravery and love for your people. Go now and rule your people wisely, and always remember, jealousy destroys the jealous, but truth and kindness will protect the just." The king thanked the spirit and hurried back to the village. And from that day on, he ruled his people wisely and generously. His cousin, Okonjo, never came back, and the villagers believed that he had been taken by the spirits of the forest forever. The end.